Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's select board meeting, September 8th, to order. As usual, we start with the pledge of allegiance. So if you're able, would you please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda is fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 8 in the amount of $45,621.13.
I move that we approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 8 in the amount of $45,621.13.
I second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 8 in the amount of $45,621.13. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is payroll journal number 94 in the amount of $9,440.60.
Move that we approve payroll journal number 94 in the amount of $9,440.60.
I second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve payroll journal number 94 in the amount of $9,440.60. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting. This is the minutes of August 11th, 2025, 6:30 regular meeting.
Move that we approve the minutes of August 11th, 2025 regular meeting.
I second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written of August 11th, 2025, the regular meeting. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for any resident of the town of Pownell to step forward and be heard by the select board. Is there any? Please step forward, state your name and address.
Kathy Hoag, Loring Lane. So I'm following up, Mallet Hall Building and Grounds, because I'm not a person who leaves things undone. I left the committee for personal reasons, but I want to see success with maintaining this building and keeping it, up to grade. So, a while back, we talked about this, and John, you thought there was a letter or some sort of memo from the Grange. And so I've talked with Doris Blackstone. She talked with Arnold, who was also Grange, Redmond, and select person. There's no letter. She says, I'm 95% sure there's no such letter. So we've kind of crossed that bridge, unless someone can produce a letter. And I just wanted to also say that I think that there's an opportunity for the town to have a more comprehensive town maintenance person to take care of the building, work with our town administrator, take some of that burden from her to keep the building running. And I know that I submit just a rough draft of everything I could think of that needed to happen in this building to take care of it. It doesn't mean it's all have to be under this person's purview, but it should apply. And so I just wanted to reiterate that I'd really like to see something positive happen with how we maintain this building in the future. I do know that 3 of the 4 remaining board members are not interested in chairing that committee. The one person who's interested in keeping the committee going said he would call a meeting, but nothing's been called. And so it's sort of like in Haiti right now. And so I just wanted to open up the conversation again. And nothing has to happen now, but I just wanted to be the person to keep this conversation going, because I think it's important that we oversee this building in the future. So that's my stuff.
Kathy Hoag. Is there any other member of the town of Pownell who would like to step forward and be heard by the select board? Okay. Next item on the agenda is department head reports. Department head reports can be viewed on the respective website pages. You just click on the website and the reports are there. Are there any questions for the two department heads that are currently present from the select board? Seeing none, is there any report from the select board? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Under new business, credit enhancement agreement amendment, Estabrook's, AKA Chandler Brook Properties LLC. Becky?
Yes, so on page 8, actually, I'm going to talk about two specific dates just for definition on here and for the minutes. So there is what's called the commitment date, which runs April 1st to March 31st. The commitment date then starts getting collected on July 1, 3 months later, and that is our fiscal tax year, which we name in the year that it ends. So the commitment year is always named in 1 year, and then the collection is always named in the year after. So we were reviewing the credit enhancement agreement. We noticed on page 8 in the chart that the commitment date of 2024 would be taxes collected towards the credit enhancement agreement in 2025, but we did not have any TIF collection in that year because that was the year of the base establishment of the valuation. And then this year in commitment 2025 with collection in tax year 2026 is when we're actually collecting our first amount of money. So the edits is just moving the chart 1 year down to reflect the actual collection and give the full 15 years to the resident of the town. I have run this by the town attorney and they had no questions, red flags, or anything. It goes in along with the original binder and falls under all the suits of the credit enhancement agreement we applied for at the time of establishing the TIF district.
Questions for Becky?
You said that gives the full 15 years to the resident of the town?
Well, the taxpayer, Chandler Brook, yes.
That's all I have.
Right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the amendment to. I move that we approve the amendment to the credit enhancement agreement between the town of Pownell and Chandler Brook Properties LLC as originally dated May 28th, 2024, but amended on September 28th, 2025. That's today.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the amendments to the credit enhancement agreement between the town of Pownell and Chandler Brook Properties. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, motion carries. There's a signature that needs to happen. What does ITS stand for? Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be some donation from Isabel. I'm not sure what the ITS stands for, but I can ask her.
There you go. Next item on the agenda is a pole permit on the Lawrence Road. Do you have that information in front of you or is it just me?
They have draft copies and you have the original, and the road commissioner has gone down and looked at it and didn't see any concerns or issues and gave it the all clear.
So it's confusing to me. Are we calling this pole number 55 on the Lawrence Road or is it at the address 55 Lawrence Road? This form is totally incorrect. So let's try to figure this out. Where is the pole?
I do not know where the pole is.
You can send this back to CMP or we can approve it. But it really gives no location of where it is. So it would not be in the town's best interest, from my perspective, to approve it unless there, I mean, I realize that the road commissioner has looked at it, but the select board really kind of needs an address on this one. Old 55, they know better. So, but it's up to the select board to decide. That's only my opinion, and I'm one of three.
I would suggest that if they want to resubmit, then they send in the correct address.
I mean, having known that the road commissioner went down and looked at the poll, I feel that the town's had good representation, that we know where it's at. I do agree that they should submit for proper documentation so it's clear, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, good. So I'll move to deny the poll permit until proper addressing. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Carries. So we can get right back to them and they can just send us a address. Okay, so now I'm going to move upon receipt of the address by the town administrator that I move that we approve the poll permit because I don't want to penalize the homeowner, but I do want CMP to follow procedures. So that would mean that we could approve in absentia when Becky gets the right address. Okay? Would someone second that? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded after CMP sends Becky Taylor Chase, the town administrator, the correct address, that she may sign this poll permit, and then the resident will not be penalized by CMP's. We just really need to nip this one in the bud. So all in favor of that? So Becky, if you'd call them and just ask them for the address.
Yes.
Um,
I add it to that. Are you satisfied or we want them to submit?
No,
a
no,
whole
no,
new?
we just want to, you could annotate that. We
Okay.
move that you could annotate that.
Will do.
No disrespect to our road commissioner, but. And I'll talk to him about putting the address down, making sure CMP puts the address that he just doesn't know. All right, next item on the agenda. Municipal valuation return. We all have this in front of us, I hope. Copy. So, we need to approve this, but I wouldn't want to approve this if there are any questions about this lengthy document. Have two other select board members had a chance to look at this?
I read through it earlier today, so
Any
as
questions?
far as I went. I've got a lot of questions, but it's just due to inexperience at that point more than anything.
Kate?
Yeah, I don't want to create a delay, but I wouldn't mind having more time to look through it.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest, and I hear what you're both saying, I'm going to suggest that we approve it just to move it forward, but we have a workshop before the next select board meeting, and I'm going to invite Becky and Donna. Donna may not be able to come, but it's really important that the select board understands this. Now, I've gone through with this with Donna, so there are important numbers here, and that really gives the select board an idea on how much money the town is worth and what kind of taxation we need to raise to value. Also, if you'd look at page 2, you could see there's information here about any business that takes the Betty exemption, which is probably, that must be only the store.
Might be. I'm not sure which one that is.
And it also gives you information on how much value we have in our tax incremental finance district, which is the Estabrook Greenhouse. That's what our assessor value that at. Are you following me? That's under TIF districts. It also tells you on how much excise tax we've collected. And kind of the big one is CMP's valuation under electrical generation and distribution property. So that's the valuation of CMP. Now, why this is important for the select board is that we're currently valued at 78% of state valuation. So not only do we lose the valuation of individual property, real estate tax, but we lose 21, I'm trying to do the math, 22% of CMP's valuation by not being at 100%, which if you can do the math, it's a fairly big chunk of money. So that's the reason why we need to do a reval as quick as possible. I think we can do one more issue of factoring, which is what we did for this particular tax year, where the assessing agent bumped everybody up by 20%?
30 this,
30%. And that only got us to 78. So, and depending on the real estate market, I can only see us having to do it again. All right, underneath electrical CMP's line is the tree growth line. And it shows you how many acres of tree growth are there and the value of that. On the next page, there's a continuation of tree growth tax law, but there's nothing in that. Then comes farm and open space. That's another state program. We have 442 acres under farm and open space for a total value of $150,000. And then we have open space, which we have 19 parcels under open space. Obviously, on the next page, page 4, there's nothing under working waterfront. The exempt properties is $3 million. That would be the school and any state property. Churches on the next page, page 5. On page 6, we have the veterans exemption, which also gets hurt by our lack of 100% valuation. So on page 7, you'll see total value of all property exempted by law. That's 8 million and change. Then the auditor's information. So there you have it. A quick review, but I will invite, on your approval of this municipal value return, I will invite Donna to we should probably have just half hour of Donna's time.
so George is not going to be at the next meeting. So I don't know if you want to put it to the first meeting in October, but I know this is due by a certain time for the state, but.
So with your indulgence, I will move to approve Donna or Hayes's municipal value return.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none? Oops, go ahead. All in favor? So moved in October, the first meeting in October.
Yep.
Donna will come.
I'll check with her tomorrow.
Yep.
Get it on.
If she won't, then I'll have her do a YouTube.
Or she could write a memo at least, to kind of
just to
explain. Yep.
I think does this need to be signed?
I believe so, yes. And if it not, I think the motion is all that's needed. Yep, if there's not a signature line right there, then it's just the
No,
motion. Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda is sales ratio and transfer analysis report.
That's just for your information. I did not print the transfer analysis report because it's 488 pages. But was just a brief memo, and that is just another document piece that goes along with the municipal valuation return. So you did get an email copy of the 488 page spreadsheet for the transfer analysis. It was out in the packet last Thursday.
Okay. Did anyone look at that? I missed that. Did you?
I've looked at page one. There's a lot, yeah. It's what she does every year, and it's all the work that gets us to that MVR.
So can you, in 25 words or less, does she compare our sales with other towns or?
Well, she kind of talks about it in her memo right here. She does make a remark in here. I have not done a preliminary calculation, but as you can clearly see, the current market value continues to increase significantly since our assessments were established in 2016. And the 20% factor applied to all values last year and the additional 30% this year. I anticipate our audit by main revenue will be conducted early. We'll have a better idea of what our final ratio will be once it's completed, but she does allude to the market is really kind of all over the place.
How does she determine current market
That I would have to ask her. Yes.
conversation with her? Just.
Yep. That's something that if she comes on the 8th, she could talk a little bit about with this too.
She's due tomorrow?
She is in tomorrow. Yep.
Okay. So the next item is the abatement on account 442. This was a request by Robert Payson for his home where there was a 28 square foot error in the size of his house. This results in an abatement of $12,000 in value, $183.60 in tax. So it was a discussion between the assessing agent, Mr. Payson. I'll entertain a motion.
That we approve the abatement between the resident Robert Payson and town.
Second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the abatement of Robert Payson for $183.60 in taxes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Glad we have that in our treasury, in our war chest. Next item is the responsibility of repairs to salt and sand shed. Becky,
I'm going to turn it to George.
George.
So there was a little bit of discussion at one of the last Future Facilities Committee meetings regarding the sand and salt shed report from AE Hodgson specifying the 5-year replacement. So the committee is just looking for direction from the select board if we want them to start working that up as well as a tentative plan to start getting contractors out to see what it would cost to replace the salt shed. Because I feel like 5 years is gonna go by in a blink of an eye, and I don't want the town to be caught with their pants down. Secondly, on that same note, I reached out to AE Hodgson today regarding the report, and the report that we received a couple months ago was not the final report. It was a draft, and that's why the name on it was incorrect. They actually added a third bullet item for immediate repairs, which was reinforce the fractured steel columns. I talked with Ben, I believe that's the owner or president of AE Hodgson. As far as if we could just replace the steel I-beams that are fractured, possibly do some improvement on the foundation if needed, if that would buy us a longer window than 5 years. And he said it would easily do that. So at least now we have a few avenues to pursue, whether we want to repair to a degree, or do we want to start anticipating the worst case scenario of a full replacement? I also did talk with the road commissioner today to make him aware of this, so he'll probably have some questions about that. That's kind of where we're at. I discussed with him whether we want to, minor repairs, just bare minimum, But I suggested to him getting a couple, 3 contractors in. Cause I know that these buildings, the way this is designed, we should be able to replace the columns, if not raise the roof if we saw fit. So that's kind of where we're.
Okay, so the question is, there are so many questions that
It was a lot of stuff.
sure there were. So, I guess the initial question is,
Do we want the future facilities committee to
thank you,
shoulder?
thank you.
Like-
Not sure that it is fair to add this burden to them or prudent.
Right.
But I think you're correct in your assessment of the timetable. Because this is, this impacts, the welfare of residents in the town, and we're, never really figure this out, so. Although I do not want to set up another committee, I think we will need to. And I'm not sure this is time to have our new road commissioner shoulder a renewal project on a building that's going to require some expertise that perhaps he does not have. Our office can't do it. So I guess we need to really sit down and talk about it. Kate, what's your thought about?
My question is, what money is, where are we gonna get the money for even plans?
That's a great question. It's going to have to go to a town meeting vote. We just don't have any available money for this kind of project. We would have to, it would be perjury, but we'd have to see if the Future Facilities Committee had any planning money left over. That would be the only way to immediately tackle this. And I'm not quite sure. It feels like, and I could be wrong, it feels like the salt shed was initially part of the whole project. So I'm not sure it would pass the straight face that, first of all, we'd have to wait and see if there was any money left over from the RFP and the planning. Then we'd have to, I don't think we can do that because we'd really have to go to the town anyway and say, look, we're doing this separately now. I don't know. I read this and I heard about the second report and I heard about the steel columns. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to Band-Aid.
So again, I mean, with the proper company coming in to do the repairs, the buildings I work in at, the Coast Guard are almost identical to this. And they've literally come in, raised the roof, added like 10 to 12 feet to a building by adding an additional I-beam and then set the roof back down. So they are possible to repair, but at what cost is it going to be worth it? Or should we start exploring the avenue of just a full replacement?
Becky, you have any thoughts?
Well, we do have some money in the budget that can take care of the siding and the little roof sections, but that third bullet point, I think we have to consider. The audit just happened on Thursday, so I should have the audited amount of the unassigned fund value at least in the next couple of weeks. And if there is some available, we might have to consider a special town meeting because we are going to have to remedy this for insurance purposes. It's not something we can wait 5 years on.
When is the remedy required?
Well, they think we're working on it right now because I told them we were reaching out to get estimates. So they're expecting that we're getting the work done before their next inspection, which will be next spring. Yeah. Or potentially they would drop the building off the insurance and it wouldn't be insured anymore if we don't get it remedied in a fair amount of time. Now, we could go to them and say,
Can we get an extension?
we need an extension because, you know, there is one more bullet point that wasn't disclosed in the first draft that we just found out that requires, because for town meeting, we need to go to the town for funds and we have to have a certain amount of time to plan that. We can't just have a town meeting the next day because this has come up. And I think they would be understanding as long as we stay, you know, in communication with them and tell them, these are sort of the roadblocks we're hitting, and this is how we're trying to, you know, maneuver around them and get this project taken care of, and we're not ignoring it.
So if we could find money for a engineering perspective, so we reached out to a firm and said, so give us an estimate of how much this would cost to fix.
You want an estimate from me?
No.
Thank you, because I'm like, I don't know.
You know, after RFP this.
Yeah.
Ask for people to come in and then they could do a write-up about it.
Right.
That would be movement towards repair.
It would be, absolutely.
George, what would an inspection and a prospectus cost us?
For an inspection, I don't think it would be that much, but I don't have a lot of
What, it would, if they could give us a,
ballpark estimate of, do we want to spend $100,000 to remedy this, or do we want to spend?
well, we want to keep the building insured, so we
Right.
want to do, I think we want to
Yep.
do the full, what would it cost to repair this building?
Because I went in there for the first time today, and after seeing what he called out in there, like there's a lot of work that needs to be
Yeah.
done. So I think it's going to be a sizable bill. I don't think we'll be into the millions. I'm hoping it's in the low hundreds, if not less than that. But the price of steel these days, I got a feeling it's going to be.
Just need an estimate. So how much would it cost for an engineering firm to come in and estimate what it would cost to repair that building? Yeah. So we'd have to put an RFP out. So let's do that. Then we would have to. And this is so hard. So we'd have to figure out, because this is going to impact the welfare of the town, we could justify if the work for the estimate cost $10,000, we could take that out of unassigned fund balance. We'd have to go to town meeting for any repair. So that's with the board's approval. Let's put on an RFP for structural repairs for the salt shed. And Becky and I will try to figure out for next meeting. George, we'll email you. So just, will you be available email?
I'll have probably email in the evenings for a few minutes, because I'll be up north Moose hunting, but
So you'll just have to nod, say.
Yep.
Yep. We'll move as fast as we can. They probably won't cut back to us by the time George is back, but we'll have to make the motion to, are you in tacit approval of moving some money from unassigned fund balance to pay for the estimate? George, this is a what if. Would you be willing to nod your head saying that that would be the appropriate strategy, to take money out of unassigned fund balance to pay for a structural analysis and estimate of repairs?
yeah, I'd be comfortable with it.
So, unless you have any other suggestions, Becky, I was kind of floored when I heard.
The only other thing is there is a Public Works fund balance account too that we could look at and see what money is in there that is meant for these emergencies. And I don't know that balance off the top of my head today. So
My other question would be, are there any kind of environmental emergency grants?
I don't know. It's a good question.
The danger is that we can't continue to use that building uninsured.
It is still insured under the notion, thank goodness, that, yeah, as we're working on it, but you're right, absolutely. We don't want to get to the
We
point.
have to fish or cut bait on the repair, because if we decide not to spend, let's just say $150,000, then we're working in an uninsured building, and if anything should happen, including salt seepage, we're on the hook. So this is kind of high priority. So having said that, I don't think that, I'm not sure, I'll have to go to a future facilities meeting and listen to the conversation, but I don't think they should have to deal with this particular one. But talk to them.
I will work on a RFP template this week.
Thank you. Any other? Mr. Engineer, any other thoughts? Why we brought you on for your?
Yeah, not as far as that building. I got a couple other correspondence from some of the other committees, but nothing pressing for that. But yeah, like I said, when I saw there's a sizable piece of one of the I-beams missing that, talking with the crew, they're like, oh, that happened 2 road commissioners ago. We still have the piece. And I'm like, that's kind of a structural load bearing piece that's missing a chunk out of it. Yeah.
All right, let's put this on the agenda for next meeting and probably for a while. And I guess we'll have to either attend to this ourselves or assemble another committee to think about that one.
Do you want the RFP to just be someone to come and do an initial assessment to tell us the cost, or do you want it to be the initial assessment and the cost to repair?
I really think in order to pass a straight face test with the insurance company, we would need the whole thing.
The whole thing, both, okay. All right,
George, do you agree?
Yes.
Kate?
perfect.
I mean, I'm really shooting in the dark here. Fortunately, that shouldn't say this, I won't. All right. So I'll talk to you about that. Is there any other new business?
Just a quick thing. So it's that time of year where we're going to have to adopt the new maximums for GA. I just got them this afternoon. I'd like to set a public hearing right at the beginning of the next meeting. We don't need to start earlier. We'll just set it at 6:30. As part of the process, the new maximums would go into effect October 1st. So this would just make sure that we're offering, what the state, the full value of what the state says we can towards any GA. So that's the only new business I have. So I will set that up. That gives me plenty of time to notice it.
Any questions about that? That's a state regulation, but the town needs to have a public hearing so that it is transparent since we pay half of all general assistance. We still at 50%, or has the state decided to come in and reimburse us at 80%?
They reimburse us at 70, I think is what it is now. Yeah. And they're tough sometimes to get that reimbursement through. You have to have your documentation in it, T's crossed, I's dotted.
So, yeah, wait for old business, but it relates to GA. Is there any other new business? All right, under old business relating to general assistance, just so that this is talked about during a public meeting, I'm talking about the property on the Allen Road that and the deceased resident of the town. But because of confidentiality, I cannot say the resident's name, but the resident had no one to claim his remains, and the town was asked to pay for the burial and cremation through the general assistance. In talking with, and this was our deputy clerk that did most of this work, in talking with State of Maine General Assistance Helpline, it was recommended that the funeral home set a lien on the property rather than have the town and the state fund the cremation through general assistance. I'm assuming that's what I'm not having heard the final saga of the story. But I'm assuming that's what happened.
I'm not sure if that's what they did, but that was where, when I had the final conversation, I think the direction they were going to go in.
And I can report that that's what happened.
Okay.
I was hoping to. So just to know that should be public information. That is an information that the town should not declare in a public hearing. So. So there will be depending on disposition of the house, there will be a lien on that property that will need to annotate on their property card that it's coming.
Okay.
All right, is there any other old business? Miss Taylor Chase.
So Ben Smith from North Star reached out last week to myself, the town planner, facilitator, and code enforcement officer about the impact fee ordinances to make sure that he understood the right direction. So I reviewed our workshop. So he is going to start working on the methodology and the equation or the calculation. That was kind of what you agreed upon. But he did ask the question if we wanted to keep them as standalone ordinances or incorporate them in the land use. So I did sit with Tim, our code enforcement officer, and we kind of talked about each option had value. One thing Tim said to me was, if it's coming across my desk or going before the planning board, he feels it should be in the land use ordinances, and impact fees are tied to a building permit, so therefore they go across his desk. But however, ultimately, it really is a decision for the board, to think about. I have not given Ben an answer on which way to go. He can start on the other two pieces without knowing this. If you want to take some time and think about it or come back with questions at the next meeting, we can, certainly revisit it and give him guidance from there. We're early in the stage, so it's not a problem to take some time.
Any questions about that? That is an interpretation that would have implications further on down the line. Whether or not it should be a standalone ordinance like our swine ordinance, manure spreading ordinance, or should it be incorporated in the land use or planning ordinances? Because it is tied to calculations done by the code. Okay.
I would feel that I was better informed if I could talk with Tim or probably Tim, the code enforcement officer.
Okay.
Some questions from them as well.
Great. And we can set up, a time even with Ben might be able to come on the phone at the same time or come to the office and sit down to meet with you.
Good. Well, then we will table that for the next meeting. Let's make sure we bring that up. Is there any other old business? Is there any correspondence? George?
So I met with Economic Development Committee last week, I guess it was, blended together. I gave them an email that I received from Chief Peters for some possible economic grant funding for them. They're pretty excited to get going on that. I also did mention to them about contacting Ben for some guidance on looking into like village districts and basically trying to set them up for success. And they seem to really accept that well and are kind of excited to hopefully do something. So.
Need any correspondence from committees that you're on?
I noticed that it looks as if the solid waste committee has set up a tour of EcoMaine facility tentatively for Wednesday, November 12th. And they said they have 25 slots available for people who want to sign up.
Oh,
I have signed up. I'm going to go on that tour.
Good for you.
It'd be nice to kind of see the magic that happens.
It's really good food.
Yeah.
All right, so I have some correspondence. Guess I need to share this correspondence. The town received a letter from Mr. Shane Brady. It is public record. It went to the code enforcement officer, town planner, what do we call?
Planning facilitator.
And was it addressed to you as well?
It was not addressed to me initially.
And it registered complaints about the operation of the planning board and implied, from my perspective, he said that these things didn't change, that we'd see him in court. So that needs to be on public record, that an applicant to the planning board has threatened court action before the issue is resolved, just so that it's on public record. Also under correspondence, there have been 3 signs stolen from, at least from the North Pownell side. I haven't gone to visit the other signs. One of them is the Welcome to Pownell sign, which was totally uprooted. One was a speed limit sign and one was a curve sign. That's just on stretch of road from the Durham Road to the Fickett Road. Length about 3/4 of a mile. So the Cumberland County Sheriffs have been informed, license plates have been given. There has been an incredible amount of what I would call roughhousing, ramrodding on the Allen Road near the substation. I'm surprised residents of the Allen Road haven't complained, but because the chair of the select board is in a valley there, the sound travels pretty fast.
Mm.
I've made 3 phone calls to the Cumberland County Sheriffs at various times of the night. So until I don't know what happened, but those signs were, that sign, the Welcome to Pownell sign, was donated by the Order of Redmond from the last, so we need to report that to, I guess it's Mr. Blackstone. I'll take that upon myself. I'm sure he's not going to be happy. I don't know if the town, could you put it on the next meeting? Whether the town would like to replace that sign or gonna let it go. I'm sure they're fairly expensive. They are nice donation, Redmond. Is there any other correspondence?
I have good news.
Great.
Okay, from Maine Municipal Association's Risk Management Service, I'll just read the first sentence because that's the good news. This is a press release they've given me to put out. The town of Pownell is pleased to announce it has received a $1,934 dividend check from the Maine Municipal Association because of its good performance and loss prevention efforts. So this year we got $1,934 refunded to us to put back into our workers' comp expense line.
Great.
Yes. Good job, everybody.
And the last piece of correspondence is that I attended a meeting at the North Pownell Community Outreach Center. Thank you. And so they have become a nonprofit entity and they had an event up there and I think they're looking for town involvement, town government involvement in the buildings. So I wanted to report that out in a public meeting. I'll continue to meet with them and just see. I'm not quite sure what direction they're moving in, but it's a beautiful building. It has historical, and whether or not the town would consider involving itself financially in that set of buildings as a community center operation I just need to be transparent and disclose that I was at that meeting, and was part of those discussions. All right, any other correspondence?
I've attended a few of their meetings and I know they've hired, I don't know what you call the person, like a historian or someone who is looking into grant opportunities for upgrading the kitchen, because they can't use the kitchen right now publicly. It's not up to standards. So they have a person that's going to put together a report on all the things they need to do to make the building more accessible. Like they need a handicapped accessible entrance. Right now, the one they have doesn't work because of the double doors. So they have someone that they've hired to do that. So, I mean, they've got a lot, they're moving forward. See what that person comes up with, but
No, I agree with you, Ms. Hoag. I think the stumbling block will always be funding. We have limited resources and anyway. All right, is there any other business?
I just.
Man, who invited you?
We haven't seen each other for 4 weeks in a meeting. I just want to report out that after a little bit of shopping, I found an even better deal and I have ordered the TV. It's coming October 8th, I think. Our planning facilitator has a couple of wall mounts that he's not using, willing to donate. So once TV comes in, we'll see if those work. If not, we'll order one and then I'll just need some muscle and help and we can get it up there. We have all the pieces. So sometime towards the end of October, beginning of November, we should have dual screens going.
Great. Any questions about that? Also under, did I take notes on, under any other business, those courses that you offered town employees, the road commissioner has already passed 5 of them.
Mhm.
The code enforcement officer has already passed 6 of them. So thank you very much.
Mhm.
These are courses that MMA offers for free that road commissioner did some leadership courses.
Yes.
And where else?
I sent the links for both Kate and George to get enrolled into. Our road commissioner has also signed up for the road scholar classes. We just did the check today. That will, that's a lot of leadership. There, I think it's 5 days, 2 this month, maybe 3 next month. So he signed up for that. And he's really diligently working on them. Our planning facilitator did all 4 required classes. I've got 3 of my 4 done. My clerks have gotten theirs done. In fact, the part-time assistant clerk has enrolled in several other classes. So people are really taking advantage of this tool when they've got 15, 20, 30 minutes that they can devote to it. So getting all kinds of certificates to put in their employee files. It's good.
And I know Jesse, Chief Peters also has been working on them to a degree too.
Yes.
so.
Yeah, he completed them the day I sent the request out. He completed 3 of the 4 and the 4th one he already does with the fire company. So he's done of their mandatory ones.
So
Great.
I have talked, thank you very much. And I have done all the courses that planning office, planner, the code enforcement officer, and the road commissioner have done. I've also taken, I want to have a conversation with the road commissioner if you have any questions. He's gotten 100 on every one of them. And feels
Great.
really confident. So, but it's really, again, it's not like light reading, but it's really municipal government is really a mystery until you figure it out. It's so much more rewarding if you know where we're going. So I urge anybody to take whatever, they're usually 25, 30 minutes.
And you can pause them if you get an interruption too. It's not like the time starts ticking once you start them to get it done in that 25 minutes. So it took me 3 hours to get a 45-minute one done the other day because the phone rings and things happen, right?
I'm sorry, under any other business, if we had any more conversations with Civics 101.
I did reach out to Peter after our last meeting. He was very excited about incorporating the fifth grade class. I don't know, I know school just got started, so I was going to ask you if you've had a chance to reach out. They're all in. So we should probably revisit the topic again at our next meeting and just come up with, I will put it on the next one. And just, yeah, let's try to nail down some details so we could get to Peter. And then we really should think about our dates and time.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that collaboration with Ms. Winkler and go from there. So
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Good, good. And have we set a date with Ben Smith, our attorney?
Ben McCall, yeah, it's October 27th, and I will send an email out to everybody to save the date. Well, since we're talking about that, I'd like to request that we close the office at 4:45 so that the clerks can come and attend that FOIA training. I think it would be huge value to them as well, even though they have taken the MMA ones. I think that with our town attorney, we're just gonna get a lot more value out of this course, so.
Ed Dodd would agree with that. October 27th, I wonder if there's any way that the select board would be willing to potluck that.
The select board is welcome to. The office is already going to be working on food for the following week on the elections, because that's the week before the elections. We'll be a little bit busy, but, or if anybody, when I reach out, maybe there might be someone from a committee that might want to spearhead and help coordinate maybe some potluck, or if we have to order a sandwich platter, we can do that too. Yeah.
A good gesture from the town to all the volunteers that may or may not come.
I think we'll see a pretty good showing, because people have already asked me, have we set a date for that? The planning board already have a save the date. She was going to announce it at the meeting next week. I believe their meeting is, or is it, yeah, next week. I just need to get a group email out to everybody still.
That's the last nook and cranny in my mind. So without any other further business, I'm going to move that we move to executive session for 1 MRSA 4066C, real estate. Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
At
7:29.
7:29.